Hello, everyone, welcome to the S&A meeting today. We have a lot of things on our agenda, so let's get right to it. I call this meeting to order at 2 o'clock. The first thing on our agenda is the agenda approval. I'll give you a few moments to look it over.
This defaults.
My understanding of the quorum is if we don't meet quorum, we technically can't meet. But that's my understanding.
So if you don't have a quorum, please see, then we can't. Because you don't have the ability to approve the agenda or minutes. Yeah, right, it's Robert's rules, so quorum is not kind of the chair, but all voting members.
Well, that's just. So it's here, and see you, Oscar.
Just like start. So then we can listen, right?
That's what, if we can't approve the agenda, that's what I'm trying to decide is if you all can hear presentations, so we're not making any decisions and push everything else to the end. Could we go for the hearing? How the presentations and start the recording? There's no voting being done on it. Yeah,
Right. So with, assuming you're using Robert's rules of order.
correct.
If the, like, just generally, like, you do not have enough voting members to even, like, to meet the quorum. Usually the meeting can take place regardless. So unless you have voting members, like, if you start the meeting, you have quorum, but then you lose quorum, it should be fine, you just can't vote. But at the start of the meeting, if you can't like, meet the quorum needed for attendance, then usually the meeting will either not happen, or it can be, the chair can also postpone the meeting until you potentially meet quorum, but if you don't meet quorum, you can't really hear presentations because you don't have enough voting members to even be present.
I think that's what we should do. So. Oh, I know, we're Googling, yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Let's wait out until 2:30 when ISO gets here. And I'll try to contact more voting members to see if we can get a hold of it.
Yeah. Then for a few minutes we'll start the meeting. So
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Unfortunately, we don't need the quorum to vote on even approving the agenda, so we are postponing this meeting until 2:30. So if you want to go and come back at 2:30, so we have the right number of people, then more than welcome to your time.
Don't want them.
Robbie is the chair, a voting member.
No,
Yeah, so
only in the event of a tie.
I think in quorum, the chair can still count for the quorum. Yeah. They just can't vote.
Because there's a total of.
So yeah, the chair would count towards quorum, but the chair just can't vote.
Actually, quorum.
Oh, that's different.
Because there's 6 of us and 3 of us have to be present for the meeting. So if there's 7 of us.
That makes sense.
So let's just make the decision to postpone until we can find that fourth person.
Actually, I guess we should be here.
Well, we could go back to the Star Wars versus Warrior. That's a great debate. I mean, there's a debate. You haven't seen Star Wars?
Oh, Lord.
Oh.
It's It's now 2:30 and we can begin our meeting.
We still don't meet.
Yes, actually, since the chair votes is actually a voting member in the event of like a tie. Technically, they are a voting member, and so we do. Actually, that is just enough. So,
3.5 maybe.
alright. I call this meeting to order at 2:30. Alrighty, first thing on our agenda is the agenda approval. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Alrighty, is there a second? Any discussion?
The change for the supplemental request.
Oh. Sorry, my voice. It's like. Do you want me to just redo it? Okay, sorry.
Don't know.
Is there a motion to, change your amendment?
Motion to move the supplemental funding request up.
Alrighty. Is there a second? Okay, is there any discussion? Alrighty, all those in favor of moving the supplemental fund request to the first item of business? Please say aye. Aye. Okay, the ayes have it, the supplemental fund request has moved up. Okay, next, we'll moving forward with the approval of the meeting minutes from last meeting. We'll give you a few moments to look that over. All right, is there a motion to approve meeting minutes?
Motion to approve the meeting minutes.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Alrighty, all those in favor of approving meeting minutes, please say aye. Ayes have it, the meeting minutes are approved. Next, moving forward with report, start with the chair, I have none. Advisors,
I have one, that will let me approve the supplemental request to reallocate the Hope magazine, observer, health care, problems. Thank you. And one other thing, your remaining supplemental budget is 80,000. So
would we do want to re-announce the question window?
Yeah, thank you. There is, I need any S&A committee member who has additional questions for any of our base funding presenters up to today or after today. They could give me those questions or on Monday. That way I can send them out to those areas and they will get 3 days to respond to us. We need to have any of your last minute questions answered before we start deliberations on Friday at 2. So if you have any other questions about any presentation, budget, lines, the way they worded something, if you all could send that to me by Monday, the end of day Monday, and I'll get those out for next week.
Already ASCW. Member reports. Moving forward with communication received, seeing none. Next, I'll be making my first call for public comment. Is there any public comment? Seeing that there is none, we'll be moving on. Alrighty, first item of business is supplemental budget request. ASC review, doesn't take deliberation and voting. Alright. Is there a motion? Is there a motion to approve, deny, table, or to do something?
Motion to approve supplemental funding request.
Okay, is there a second? Any discussion? Actually,
There.
this request was for 2019.
I think it's from this excuse. I have no problem.
Alrighty, is there any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approving the total of $2,950, please say aye. Okay, the ayes have it, the supplemental funding request is approved.
And I am saying.
Oh, yes. Alrighty, moving forward with our agenda, right, oh, yes. Starting moving forward with career services, we have
Fabulous. Gonna do this one.
Oh, good. I'll let you present. You got it. Timer started. I will be the timer. Okay, fabulous. My name is Katrina Whitney. I'm the Director of Career Services here at CWU. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you all today and present our financial request for the upcoming budget cycle. At Career Services, our mission is to empower our diverse students with the skills, knowledge, and experience necessary to thrive in today's demanding global market. We take great pride in offering personalized career coaching, internship support, employer connections, and career readiness programming to ensure that every student, no matter their major, their background, has access to opportunities to prepare them for their future. Over the past year, we have been seeing a growing demand in career development support, both in person, virtually, and with our virtual career center. Students are actively seeking internships, career guidance, job opportunities, and it is crucial to continue to expand our reach and impact. The funding we are requesting will allow us to continue our services, increase student engagement, and better support their career journeys. This is our overview for today. Mary and Jessica, my colleagues, are going to be introducing themselves. We're going to give you a little bit of a demographic of the center and online students. And then we're going to go over what services we provide, what we do, and then the impact and engagement data. You received a lot of that hopefully in our packet. We tried to be really detailed for you folks to have that information prior to our presentation and the annual report. And then we'll talk about budget information and funding description. Right, I'm gonna pass it to, I believe, Jessica.
Yeah, and I just want to double check because that's not what I see on my end. Is the presentation up there in person?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I am Jessica Thomas. I'm a career counselor and I serve our Des Moines and Pierce and JBLM campuses on site and then some of our online students. And I am a 10-month cyclic appointment, 1.0 FTE. I graduated from Central myself, and I actually served on the S&A committee the last time we were doing the quadrennial ask, so I appreciate the work you guys are putting into this. And yeah, I guess I'll pass it over to Meredith there.
Hi there, my name is Meredith Rennick, and I'm Assistant Director of Career Services, and I'm based out of Linwood campus. Next slide, please.
Yeah, so this is just a little about where we're serving students at. Again, we have in-person services at Linwood. That's where Meredith's at. We have in-person services at Des Moines and Pierce County. And I'm also at the Stone Education Center on Joint Base Lewis McChord. I am actually the only S&A-based funded area to be actually there on site to provide services to our students on JBLM. We had 24 JBLM military affiliated students last year. And those numbers up at the top is kind of just a general number breakdown of students with each of those campuses coded as their home campus. That's just pulled from our CWU advising software.
Okay, so the first graphic illustrates which campus the students that we had appointments with are registered at. The second graph illustrates that the majority of our students identify as non-traditional. Many center students are place-bound. Some are parents, some have full-time jobs, some have mortgages. They come to us in a variety of ages, not only in their 20s, in their 30s, 40s, 50s. Last year, I had a client that was 60 and she went back to school to be an accountant. We have many international students. Almost 30% of the students at Linwood are international students. Next slide, please.
Yeah, and then this is showing a bit more of a breakdown of the students using our services again, so like meeting with us for appointments. Class standing, a lot of seniors. I think that's in part because seniors kind of feel that the pressure is on at that point to utilize career services and do some things in relation to their career management, but also because at the centers, students are coming in with their associates already earned. So those general education courses are not being taught on site at any of the centers. So that would make a larger senior and junior population. And then we have quite a few graduate students popping up there as well. On the other side, just a little bit of a race breakdown as far as like the students that are utilizing our services too. As you can see, we're kind of serving a broad variety of students that is pretty representative of the campuses that we're serving as well. So we can move on to the next slide there, I guess. There's some charts. Okay. We really work to meet the needs of our center and online students kind of where they're at and when they need them. We offer our information sessions, our workshops, different appointment kind of windows of opportunities at varied times and in varied modalities. So again, offering things on site at Linwood, Pierce, Des Moines, and JBLM, and then of course everything online as well. I think we both have some evening appointment windows throughout the week, and Merity also has some early morning appointment windows just to be a little bit more accommodating to students with fuller schedules. And then we try to place quite a few of our evening or our workshops and sessions of that nature in the evening to be accessible to everyone as well. We also offer some pretty intentional programming specific to like the center student needs. So like education is one of the majors that is offered, I think, at just about every campus except for Linwood. ITM is at quite a few of those. A lot of the College of Business majors. So a lot of partnering with some of the folks on the academic side there to offer some very intentional, specific programming to those academic departments too. Next slide.
Here is just a sample of some of the services we offer: career counseling, resume and cover letter reviews, grad school essays, interview coaching. We meet with employers to create opportunities for students, things like internship development, especially if we can find ones that are close to our campus. Students on the west side are especially in need of those types of opportunities. Host career panels, events and fairs. We make classroom presentations in person and virtually. We're basically here to help with all things career. Next slide, please. Last year, one of our goals was to increase our outreach to center and online students. In the last few years, we've seen a large increase in the number of online students. We want to make sure that they know and utilize career services. Last year, we launched a new virtual career center. It's 24/7. And with content specific areas for center and online students. So if they go to the icon, trying to post weekly information for them that's relevant to them. For example, yesterday I just post Boeing internships are open. They're only open for 10 days. So just trying to get out that information as quickly as possible. And those placements over here on the west side. So we provide transportations from the centers to career fairs and events. We try to send out weekly emails to center and online students advertising career events and workshops. We collaborated with East Side and West Side center staff to market career services opportunities. Last year, we really started to target East Side. Also, we realized that so many East Side students were using the online services. And we just wanted to make sure that they felt like they had tailored services and that they were really, being served properly. So this resulted in increased participation attendance seen in online workshops and employer panels. Just to give an example of that, in the spring, I hosted an FBI employer panel, and we had over 70 participants online. I think the final number was like 77. So yeah, I think that the workshop numbers are really picking up. We're really pleased with that. So Jess.
Yeah, kind of jumping off there, I was going to tag on to Merity's FBI workshop that was super well attended, but we try to host 3 to 4 virtual employer panels a year so that that's accessible to everyone. I think we've really kind of shifted into catering to some of that online demographic that has definitely expanded in these post-COVID years. A lot more students online than there used to be. So we try to kind of meet that need. in that too is kind of just wanting to even rebrand this space allocation as a centers and online, because that's a lot more representative of what we're actually doing. We're not just serving West Side students, we're serving students anywhere that are attending Central. I'm gonna go ahead and let it go to the next slide just for the sake of time, but we have that information for you guys in your packet as well.
Wonderful. So we do have packets with the information on our presentation. I'll make sure you folks get at the end so you have all the information. In regards to data and evaluation, I think the biggest thing that I want to share with you, because you can read the slide, is that we are very intentional about evaluating our services. And one, checking out student satisfaction. Two, knowledge increase. So with workshops, we check and we do learning outcomes. We really determine if the workshops we're giving to students, they're gaining some knowledge. And what's the level of that knowledge they're gaining. We look at our strategic plan every year. And our first goal that we were really assessing was our access. Are we increasing our access for all students? So that's just gives you an example. We're very intentional. We have a individual on staff, a data analyst that actually works with me very closely to do that. And it's very important to us. So I want to make sure. Okay, next is me too, budget. You all got the budget that we put in. So this is our breakdown. As you can see, it's predominantly professional staff, both Meredith and Jessica. Again, being intentional, we have a 10-month for both of them. Meredith's at point 8, I believe it is. I hope I got that right.
I think it's 0.84, I think.
Thank you, Jessica, 0.84. And so, and then Jessica would be a 0.1, 10 month. We are intentional about that. If we were in the perfect world, I'd have at least one staff 11.5 months, because there is summer students, right? We try to help out as much as we can from main campus, but we're trying to be intentional and not overextend, right? Because we know in regards to budget times the way they are, right? Goods and services, basic stuff. That's that office supply. That's those, any particular needs they have for supplies for programs, events, that's what that covers. We're interested in career tracks. Career tracks are really our opportunity for students to go and engage with employers. So for an example, we just took about 20 students to Costco's main headquarters in Renton. And that's an example, taking them there, engaging with employers, finding out what job opportunities there are, what internships. That's what we deem as a career track. And we'd love to be able to have an opportunity to really provide that opportunity for the West Side students as well. And then the last one is equipment updates. We just replaced equipments, I think 1 or 2 years ago for Meredith and Jessica. They have really ones that aren't going to be serviced by IT. They have a calendar. When the computers get too old, they go out and they don't service them anymore. So this is just a placeholder for that kind of stuff. One of the things we did do last year with our budget, which is awesome, is we bought iPads, selfie lights, and those kind of things, so they can have professional headshot booths at Des Moines location and Linwood, and they can take it with them and travel. So if they're doing events, they can have those opportunities for students to get professional headshots for LinkedIn or any of those other things that I need. Okay, let's go to the next slide. All right. One of the things that I want to say, are we doing good with time? 1 minute. I'm going to talk fast. Okay. Take an opportunity to really read the testimonials. For me, that's the most important. How do we impact students? What do they believe is the most value with the services that we're offering to them? And I think you can read that right here, but I just want to open it up for questions. First, I want to say thank you on behalf of Meredith, Jessica, and myself for your time and attendance. Okay, there we go. So ask away. I'm going to sit. These are what we shared with y'all, so you have a documented copy.
I did have a question on your board chart. It did show that there were 4 student employees, but they're not listed in the budget.
Because those employees are paid by our 148 funds, our revenue based.
That's what it is.
Yes, we used to actually have, just to share a little bit more, we used to actually have student staff on the west side, but due to budget cuts and various things like that, it kind of transitioned out of that. We'd love to have student staff, to be honest, but it's budget restraints. Thank you for the question. Anybody else?
Yes, the numbers that you presented don't match up with the here every meeting.
Oh, that's not a good thing. What did we have there? Is it less with you?
For the allocation that you're asking for is.
Yeah. Ooh,
But we actually did better on the request going in, didn't we? I think probably what we did is took out, that's our bad. I apologize for that. We should have went right off what we submitted. Let me look at that real quick, Robbie. Thank you. So 158 covers the staff. And then, non-student payroll. So you know what we did? We took out, goods and services, 5,000. We took out the 23. Aaron, you and I talked about that and I didn't take it out of this. Aaron and I talked before we submitted. So that's my bad.
Secondly, I know we're trying to like. On 5C of last year, salaries were 130, and now it's increasing, to 181.
We had a salary savings because we had somebody retire. So what happened is we didn't spend as much money because we had like 6 months, I think, that Steve had been retired before we hired Jessica. I think he retired June and we hired her November. So that looked less because we had that open position.
So it's just, we discovered that the band asked questions.
Heck yeah, ask away, please. I think that's important to do that. You gotta have all your information as you go into
And
deliberations.
then, non-student payroll is for 2,
Non-student payroll,
Yeah.
that would be Deb, pro staff. Just, yeah.
2 10-month.
Yep. 2 10 months. Yep, absolutely.
So you said that you guys have the revenue to support the for student staff positions, but it's not linear.
No, so that's our 148 budget. This budget is S&A budget, it's our 522. So 148 is our revenue budget. That's the other budget we have within the career services. That's a revenue budget that's based on our career fairs for employers pay a fee to come for registration fee to come to career fairs. So we have a separate budget, 148, that we use for our career fairs. We receive a small portion from grad fees. It's a pretty tight budget as well because we're doing 6 career fairs and we're doing workshops, and we're doing career tracks, we're doing a whole bunch of stuff like that. That supports our other operations.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Yes, please.
So this budget is really not supporting any of the functions on for campus, but it's supporting
Only,
the West Side.
yes, only West Side Center, West Side student, that's it. And as Mary shared though, I want to be honest, we really take into light all the centers, meaning if there's a student at the East Side centers that want to do a virtual appointment, because we believe centers are a collective, right? Even though Merity and Jessica are on the west side, they will service any center students on the east side as well. We're not going to leave anybody out.
Yeah, I was just gonna be adding to that we take students from any and all campuses. We're just physically located on the west side. I think probably mainly just because that's where like the Linwood and Des Moines locations have like between like 150 to 200 students in a given term or year. And I think the east sides are quite a bit lower than that at this point. So as far as like why we're physically located there, I think that's why.
And I think it pulls. Merity, did you have something? Go
Oh,
for it.
yeah. And we did have that slide that had the breakdown, which showed last year which campuses each of our appointments were, where the students were coming from, the different campuses, and really how many online students utilized our services because they pay S&A fees. And yeah, and I think that they have a lot of their needs are a lot more like West Side student needs, right? They tend to be more of a non-traditional population. A lot of them already live on the west side, and some of them even end up coming to our centers to meet with us in person after meeting online. They're like, wow, I really enjoyed this. I got a lot out of it. I actually want to go and see you in person. So yeah.
Well, we're down a staff on the main campus. Normally we have 4 career counselors. We've only been approved to have 3 because of budget, right? We're all going through the budget stuff. So in full transparency, there is times when students will go on our appointment page and Mary and Jessica may have appointment open. If it's virtual and they want it, they can take it. We're not going to deny any students. We're going to support students as much as we can in regards to career readiness and career development. So just full transparency there. Yes, please ask.
I saw a growth in the travel from 2023 to 2024. What was the educational impact?
You got it, yes. That increase with travel was Jessica going to our National Counselor Career Development Association Conference. So one of the things with Jessica as a new professional, we wanted to make sure she was equipped in the best way possible with the latest theory, the latest trends, all the updated career development information we could provide to students. We wanted her to be equipped with that. And so we sent her to the NACDA conference. So that was that travel.
When does career services start sharing when students can use them?
Great question, Bobby. Thank you. We start right away with orientations. We're all involved with the virtual orientations, orientations during summer. And then we do the first year experience here on campus. And then any student service fairs happen on the west side as well at all those centers. So we are present at those as well. And our hope is to start in that first year all the way through graduation and into being an alumni. But I'll share with you, as Meredith has shared, you know, when we're looking at the West Side centers, we know that center students often are those junior seniors, right? They come out of a DTA or transitioning from Highline College into Central or Edmonds into Central, right? So they're coming with a different kind of experience, I think, and perhaps needs. And so they're really focused on those internships. Let's meet employers, let's network. How do I get my professional documents updated and ready to go? So how do I practice with mock interviews so that I'm ready for those experiences with interviews?
Any other questions?
Please ask.
I think you already answered it. You
That's
also
right, ask
only-
again.
only- This only, is for the west side, but we have this not policy.
Yeah, our main campus is supported by state funds for our professional staff on main campus, and then our 148 budget. And again, 148 is operations. We don't have any state money that helps us with operation, right? So strictly main campus operations.
My question is specifically, budget square, is this a 20% reduction, 15% reduction?
That is a phenomenal question. I actually think there's some reduction. Now, previous to the other budget cycle, I will make a clarification. Previously, we had an individual, prior to Jessica's position in that career counseling position, we had another assistant director as a 12-month. When we rehired for that position, I took it down to a career counselor and a 10-month. One, based on knowing the trends that were happening, right? I really didn't want to set up professional staff for some real big impact, because again, you can see by the budgets, it's really just 2 professional staff, right? And so I didn't want to set it up. And so I moved it when I had the opportunity. So there's not really a budget cut, except for position from 12 to 10. Which is substantial in the scheme of things, but.
You all speak up, they can't hear you when you're asking your questions.
Yes.
The mic's right up here.
Oh, the mic's right up here. Okay.
So in 2023, it looks like some funds went towards student payroll. What is that?
Richard, let me. 2023.
I think that was probably.
Okay.
Oh, is that overtime? Thank you, Erin, for the clarification. I was like, you have students.
The overtime sneaks in the student line, and so it's misleading, but I think that's.
What I can clarify on that, though, I think it's important that you folks know. That when Jessica was hired on, one of the things I wanted to make sure is we were prepped for the next September. We had Jessica do some project work in June and July, but just half time. It wasn't a lot of hours, right? It wasn't a full time, but it was to get some projects done. So those center and online students there was projects and workshops and all that stuff prepped. So they didn't come back in September and feel like we were behind. We're prepped for students.
I have one more question, just to clarify, what is your ask for the next one? As we have the 2 different numbers.
The one we submitted without the 2,300, because I think we can come in for, if we need a supplemental for equipment, we'll come in. It's a 4-year cycle, right? So we should get a couple more years out of the computer. So if we need to come back in and ask for a supplemental for that, we're happy to do it. So please take the one that we put in.
So then.
And again, I apologize for the mistake
Okay,
there.
I'm just gonna circle back to your question. With that being the case, then they are giving a almost 7% reduction. But,
Allocation from us.
Okay, thank you, Erin. You can do that math like that.
no, I already did it.
Oh, you already did it. You were right.
I'm not that good. I haven't plugged into this spreadsheet to just kind of keep track of what everybody's doing.
Right, no, that's great. That's great.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know, right on it. Any other questions, y'all? Please, as Robbie said, if you have any additional questions, if there's anything that we share that seems confusing or you want more details, please ask. I'm so willing to give you all the information you need to make a thoughtful and intentional decision, okay? All right, thank you.
Already next up.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Next up on our agenda, we have the Museum of Culture and Environment. You have.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having us today. We're from the Museum of Culture and Environment, or you might even say MCE, just because it's shorter and easier to say. I'm Carissa Terry. I'm the museum director, and this is Lynn Bethke, who's the collections manager. And we just want to thank you for having us. And we also want to thank you for funding us before. A lot of the programs that you're going to be seeing and things that we've done in the past has been because of this funding. So thank you. So what we're asking per year is $14,795. And so this is for the quadrennium, years of quadrennium. I wanted to give you, I want to talk about the pictures on each one of these slides as well, because we can't not talk about them. This picture is a picture of the MCE, and this is the main gallery where The Forest Meets the Road was the exhibit we had in fall, and that was researched and curated by CWU faculty and students, both in biology and in museum studies. And our mission is working with diverse communities and diverse communities both on campus and off campus. So bringing people here. And we're trying to create these lifelong learning opportunities that foster self-discovery, global citizenship, and environmental stewardship. So this is where culture and environment come together in our title. And this is an event that we had in support of the exhibit where, of course, this was with CW Biology and Reptile Encounters. We had lots of people come to this, of course, because they're reptiles. Everybody loves reptiles. More pictures about what we do right now. We have the Roots of Wisdom, Native Knowledge, Shared Science exhibit going on, and this is a traveling exhibit that comes to us from the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry. And this is about exactly what it means, what it says, Native knowledge, traditional knowledge, indigenous knowledge, coming together with Western science and trying to, it showcases several different communities within our region and how they're helping themselves in terms of ecology and also traditional culture. We had in mid-February, we had a basket making workshop with Master Weaver Wapanayat, who's a native Yakima tribal member. And there was a huge turnout for this. We almost didn't have enough room. So more about the museum. The museum opened in 2009, and that's when Lynn has been here since then. And it's situated in Dean Hall. I just started in fall of 2024, so I'm new. We have hosted over 80 exhibits, over 200 events, we house over 10,000 artifacts there. We're free, anybody can come, whenever we're open. We're open Wednesday through Saturdays, 10 to 4 p.m. During the academic year, our visitors include CWU students, CWU faculty, clubs, organizations, and then the general public. Often we have school visits come, people from just the general community come, lots of people show up. We have 3 to 7 exhibits per academic year typically. These are both traveling and developed here by us and by CWU students and faculty, so they're involved in the process. We have 3 to 5 special events every single quarter, and these are related to the exhibits, to current events that are going on, and student interests. Oftentimes these things all align with each other. Our staff includes me, I'm the part-time faculty member. We have our collections manager / assistant director, does everything like that, who is full-time. And then we have 2 part-time front desk museum staff who are funded by S&A funds. And we have 0 to 5 museum studies interns, depending on the quarter. And then depending on the academic year, we have 0 to 1 GA. So just looking at our organization, so we are under the College of the Sciences. And so my position, I report directly to the Dean of the College of Sciences. We have interns who report to me, and graduate assistant when we have them report to me. Lynn is next to me. And Lynn, the collections manager reports to the anthropology department chair. And Lynn has interns and also the front desk staff. So those are, they report to her. I'm going to turn it over to Lynn. Thank you.
So that's a little bit about the Museum of Culture and Environment. I want to talk a little bit about our outreach, our numbers, our community. So this is some of the information from the last quadrennium. This was the second set of S&A funds that we have received, so we're going for our third. We appreciate it so much. Our visitation ranges between 2,500 to about 3,000 now. Looking at our numbers currently for this year, I think we're on track for closer to that 3,000 number, which I'm really glad, because a lot of it has to do with Roots of Wisdom, which thank you for the supplemental funding. It's amazing. We do a different number of events each year, sort of based on capabilities of staff, our interest of our students. So it ranges again between that 5 and 10 number that you're seeing up there. And then you can see some of our collaborations. We work obviously a lot with people on campus, but we're also in the community working with Apoyo, working with Gallery One, working with the Washington State Department of Natural Resources. So it's sort of project-based, based on the exhibit that we're doing, sort of often influences what collaboration we're pursuing at the time. And we have a lot of exciting things that have happened this year and a lot of exciting things actually coming up probably in the next quarter. We're looking at a couple more workshops that I'm pretty excited about. All right, more photos. These are some of the things that have happened recently. We had CW Mariachi at an event. We're working on some dual language interpretation, a science panel with CW Biology, and then Dr. Jim, or not Dr. He's not a doctor. Jim Bob, who is a Cherokee elder and full of knowledge, comes and we co-sponsor him to the students for 2 days in November. It's pretty amazing. All right, so our overall revenue sources for our goods and services budget and student staff budget, we have 2 primary sources. One is right here, the services and activities fee. And our other allocation comes from the College of the Sciences. They usually give us $15,000 a year. It's at their discretion, so it's not fully guaranteed, but it has been fairly continuous, which we appreciate. We do have a couple other options. It's kind of the same thing, to be honest. We have our CWU Foundation account, which we can go into for costs that might not be appropriate to use these other funds for, or for larger opportunities that these funds would be able to cover. And then we do have a donation box in the gallery. People drop $1, their loose change in, and we put that towards our foundation account at the end of the year as well. Okay. Pie charts. We love a pie chart, right? So this is a visualization of the last 3 years of our spending of our S&A allocation. And as you can see, the 2 big pots of money we're spending on are our student workers and our traveling exhibits. So and it goes about half and half with a few other things thrown in there. Our student worker costs go up and down depending on if they're both work study, if one's work study, or just how the scheduling shakes out basically. This year, obviously, this one is still in progress. The 4,200 is something we haven't spent yet, but we fully anticipate to bring next year's traveling exhibit in. And I think our student costs will be a little lower on that because they do happen to both be work study, which gives us some room to do more programming, which we're excited about. So these are the things that the S&A fees at CWU Museum of Culture and Environment support directly. Our student front desk workers, this is Winnie, she's worked with us for 2 years and she's amazing. These are some of the exhibits that over the last 4 years, the S&A fees have supported directly through curator costs, through rental costs, sometimes through motor pool for me to go pick something up in Idaho. One of the things that you might, that I don't mention as much, but I think is important is we pay to host our online collections database. So this is something that through our website, you can go and see things from our permanent collection, which are often behind the scenes, you don't get to see, but you can go look through that. Students can start research projects. And so that is a recurring cost. You'll see in our budget that doesn't get as much airtime as the students and the exhibits, but I wanted to mention. Having this funding also allows us to be more flexible with our other pots of money. So we know that our traveling exhibits and our student workers are taken care of. Then we can work with our other pots of money in a more flexible way. And then again, potentially bring more programming to students and community. Because we do serve both students and community. We're open to everybody, as Teresa said. And we want everybody to come on in. So our current funding level is, I think, about 12,576 with the current reductions. We are asking for what we received at the beginning of the last quadrennium. Why? Because we can do more with more. I know you're going to have some hard choices to make, and we understand whatever the level ends up, but we're going to go ahead and ask for what we received 4 years ago. So that makes our total good services and student employee budget 29,795 with, this is our approximate breakdown. I won't go through it. Things in bold are the things that S&A pays for. The events, it's only partial. So sometimes some S&A fees go towards that, sometimes they don't. Questions?
We already talked about, so we have a lot of things, maybe what was it, please?
So I think we're at 12,576. Does that sound right?
It would have been, that's what it tentatively is for this year.
Yes, okay. And that was the number that I was using to reference.
I did have a question. It looks like you're currently in a deficit. Do you know why there was a $3,000 deficit at the end of 2023?
Because we probably overspent on some of those exhibits. We have, and I'm often in communication with Erin and the staff about this because in the past, that's something we've enjoyed about the funding is the ability to have a little bit of flexibility in there. And I know it's changing from year to year, but that is all the sense there.
I got something about that. Last year, in 2023, they did have the $3,000 deficit, and then they were able to recover all the $541 of that. And so that will go forward, but most of it was absorbed in last year.
The student payroll, it's gonna go up after 2026. Can you tell me why?
I never know 100% of our student payroll is going to look like. So I was sort of using stable numbers with the understanding that that number is going to shift one way or the other, and we'd absorb it within the budget in other places if those costs went above what we have budgeted.
Like 2024 from students salary benefits. 6,200 And then in 2026, you're reducing them because you're 27, 28 equals 1,000. So that's like,
Yeah, and part of that was me imagining that we have 2 work study students, say next year, so we'd have a little lower costs and then go to 1 work study and 1 not work study. So I apologize for sort of the squishy numbers.
and then, you guys are only open 4 days.
Yes.
I have one on tracking student engagement. I know that you don't have like a specific way to be able to do it. Because you don't want them like swiping every time. Have you thought about doing just like a tap check-in for them with their student ID?
We haven't really considered that. We have a tracking form where we sort of track what people engage with within the museum space. And we were sort of discussing maybe overhauling that for next year and sort of trying to visually assign who's a student versus who's a community member, which isn't 100% accurate as we know with non-traditional students. But we're maybe getting closer to a number with that.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna admit, we have a lot of different spaces that students may or other people may interact with that sometimes we can't see. So, and having, I don't know, we've kind of talked about, it's been a little tricky to try to track and maybe have students come up to us and track that way. I don't know, we've been thinking about this.
It's a continuous question.
It is.
And actually, which brings up a good point that we have our gallery, which is closed, those other 3 days of the week, but we do have a lot of material in Dean Hall. So anytime the building is open, there are at least 2 exhibits that people can engage with at any time, even without the main gallery.
Yes, are you guys looking to expand the maybe more? Animals and presentation.
So we think of ourselves sort of as a service. And the idea of the funding is an interesting one. Our space is physically small, so our footprint is like 1,500 square feet in the gallery, so we don't have anything permanent. And we do partner a lot with CWU Biology and the greenhouse and send people over there, and they send people over to us. So we're trying to sort of create this like science infrastructure up in that corner of campus where we're sort of all partners.
You have.
Is there a microphone? Is it? It's right there. Oh. Testing, 1, 2. Greg Schlanger, and I'm the chair of the department.
So, I'd like to start by just quickly going over the mission statement for the Sarah Spurgeon Gallery. The purpose of the Sarah Spurgeon Gallery is to offer the campus of CWU and the community at large the opportunity to view and experience art firsthand. The gallery's exhibits and related outreach programs are designed to enhance, engage, and challenge viewers' knowledge and understanding of art and design. The gallery also presents artists and viewers alike with opportunities to explore culturally diverse ideas in an academic environment. So what three gallery programs are funded by S&A? We currently have 6 exhibits each academic year. We are open 6 days a week. We're open Monday to Friday. We're also open on Saturdays. On average, 4,000 visits are made to the gallery each year. I can estimate that 75% of the visits are by CWU students, faculty, and staff, and that the other 15% of visits are by community members. The gallery also presents lectures by visiting artists and curators. This academic year, we will host a total of 5 talks and 1 workshop. So the images that you can see to the right are from an exhibit by an artist named Jean K. Simmons called Interweavings. In addition to displaying her work, Jean gave a workshop with 40 CWU students. And they created a sculpture in the courtyard of Randall Hall that you can see here, that anybody can go and see. The natural materials for the sculpture are gathered from green waste piles on campus. So next, I'm going to show you an organizational chart to give you a sense of the gallery's operating structure. The gallery is in the College of Arts and Humanities, all the way here to your left. And it's also in the Department of Art and Design. Right here is my supervisor. The gallery has an advisory committee called the BASE Committee. It's the Visiting Artists, Speakers, and Exhibits Committee. And it's a committee of rotating art and design faculty. There are currently 4 student positions in the gallery. I supervise these students, Priya, Elena, Ira, and Sophie. And I'll talk just a little bit more about students in the gallery here in a second. So this is just an overview of the funding that we're requesting for FY26. The rest of the quadrennium. We're asking for 35,300, and that is a little bit of an increase from our current health continue to $31,950. That's before the 10% or the 15% decrease. So the breakdown for the 35,300 is we'd like to have 10,000 of that used for student payroll, 300 for student benefits, and to have the remainder, the 25,000 for goods and services. The gallery does have some funding sources in addition to S&A. We have an exhibit that we host every other year that's called Interstate, which pays for itself. That exhibit is funded by artists entry fees. And the gallery also does have some foundation funds that we can use. It's estimated that we'll have about 5,400 available to spend next year, so that's 26. Staff salaries and benefits are funded by the fees. That's me. We also have a maintenance mechanic who built out with lighting the more complicated installations. So I know you saw a little bit of this with the museum's presentation, but this is an example of some of the expenses that we have. Art shipping is one of our biggest expenses. For every exhibit, the art has to get shipped, has to be transported from somewhere. And then after the exhibit's over, we have to return it to the artist or the lender. We have fine arts insurance. We also have travel expenses for our visiting artists. This is an example of one of our visiting artists. He's Nicole K. Trentoni. So often these artists will come on campus. They'll sometimes spend at least a few days installing their work in the gallery, but they also spend time with students. They give talks, they do workshops to the students. We have events, so we have costs associated with those events, like our opening receptions. And we just have a lot of supplies that we need, sort of disposable supplies, paint and hanging hardware and light bulbs and things like that. So the main reason why we're asking for a little bit of funding increase is because student wages have been steadily going up while our funding levels have either remained flat or they've gone down by 10 or 15%. Our student workers are vital to the gallery's operation. They're the friendly faces that you see when you go to visit the gallery. And they also do a lot of physical work in between the exhibits. It is a team. The Sarah Spurgeon Gallery is a large 2,000 square foot space. And we use the space quite a bit in between exhibits. So there's a lot of physical work, pedestals, walls, they maintain, they paint, they spackle, they learn how to display art. So there's a lot that students do in the gallery. So on the time that I have left, I'm just going to show you a few examples of our exhibits, of our programs. This is the jury undergraduate student art and design exhibit. We have this exhibit every year in the spring, and it showcases outstanding student work. So last year, in 2024, 74 students displayed their artwork, and we raised $5,600 in awards that were given to students either as monetary awards, but then there's also purchase awards. The university has a public art collection. The CERC also has a public art collection. If you walk around the CERC, you can see a lot of student art. And so in that case, student artwork gets purchased for the university. The exhibit that we currently have on view in the gallery, this is Past, Now, Future, Native American prints from the Crow Shadow Institute for the Arts Collection. And this is a collaborative exhibit that we're also hosting alongside Gallery One in downtown Pittsburgh. So between the two venues, we're showing work by 35 different Native American artists. It's 77 prints. And so tonight is the first Friday art walk opening reception at Gallery One. So if you want to see some of this work, by Gallery One. It's a lot of fun to go downtown, experience the art walk.
Stupid.
The Student Art Club also has an exhibit. This is the last exhibit I'm going to show you. This was a solo exhibit by like Kea, it's a Hawaiian artist. This was from fall. And I invited students from the PISA Club, the Pacific Islander Student Association, to come. And they attended an artist talk, they attended the reception, they were able to spend some time with artists. So this is just to show you that when we can, we do involve these student clubs in our programming. And also, I think along with the previous slide that I showed you, there was a point I wanted to make here. So I think this exhibit, as well as the Past, Now, and Future exhibit that you just saw, it shows our commitment to programs that represent a diversity of people's cultures and ideas, as well as artistic medium. And so like look at where you can see on your right here, this is kapa. This is a woven art cloth. That's a traditional Hawaiian textile. These are kites. You can sort of see them. Kite fabric. So the artist is using this material to create studio art, traditional material, to create contemporary art in an art gallery. Did I forget anything, Greg?
Oh, and you covered it all.
10 minutes.
In the last 4-year cycle, there were staff wages, and then I think there was a change. And can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I kind of threw our budget off for a couple of years there. So historically, there was a portion of my salary that was taken out of this S&A budget.
Yeah, so it was,
yeah.
so yeah. Or, I mean, I don't know how, when did the gallery?
Ever since I've been here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's received S&A funding and a portion of other salaries was. The College of Arts and Humanities, we seem to change teams. And so Jason Kirk was the previous dean, and within the college budget was also money that supported programming. And it was about the same dollar amount as what S&A was contributing to Heather. And so Jason wanted to swap that out and have the college just pay fully for salary. And so we presented that to the committee last year.
Last year, yeah, that was
Last year. to make that maneuver. So we didn't. Basically, the budget is the same, it's just the resources for Heather's salary is different and also then for programs.
Yeah, that money that had previously been put towards my salary, we'd like to use for goods and services, and the committee approved that last year.
So at front of the salary, it's in here it says, student payroll benefits. So if there's no salary.
Goods and services.
Oh, okay, I did the same.
Oh my gosh.
I was walking here.
So it looks like you are requesting $25,000 for building services that over the last 4 years, it's like didn't quite hit $10,000. So why is there like such a big number?
I think it's that shift, because I think there was, trying to remember, it was like 18,000 was a portion of that budget that went to my salary. So we had to save up for that, right? And last year, things were sort of in flux, we were waiting for that get moved out of this budget into the new budget, so it's that.
Yeah, it was difficult to make commitments because, the exhibits and arrangements with artists, it takes time. And so we actually, in that changeover 2 years ago, we actually didn't have an exhibit, one exhibit during winter quarter because of it. So we did spend less than. But
Usually we plan our exhibits 1 to 2 years out, which is common for galleries and museums.
From 2022 to 2023, we see an increase in travel expenses. Just wanted to ask, what's the educational impact of that?
So that would be the travel for our visiting artists. It is a travel for me or for Greg. So we bring artists, we try to bring them from outside of our immediate area. And sometimes they may just be coming from Seattle and to come here and spend a couple nights on campus so that they can install or it's hard stuff.
I did have a question. You mentioned previously that 85% of visitors were student, staff, or faculty. Do you know roughly how many, like percentage wise, students specifically?
So we track attendance, but we don't know exactly who everyone is, who's attending. We're thinking about doing a survey. We might have a survey, get 2 people.
Yeah, talking about this, starting either spring tour events.
Yeah, I know we should for it. Numbers. I mean, Saturdays, we're open on Saturdays. Often we have community members that come because parking is free, and that's an opportunity. Sure.
That those costs in their contract, or are they like a separate like courtesy?
Everything that we provide, to the sweetheart.
Right, thank you so much. Thank you. We are looking or go in the direction of having to extend the budget.
Ending the meeting.
I would need a motion to do that. Is there a motion to extend today's meeting?
Motion to extend today's meeting by 20 minutes.
Is there a second?
That's it.
Any discussion?
That's it.
All those in favor of extending today's meeting by 20 minutes, please say aye. Aye. The ayes have it, the meeting is extended by 20 minutes.
Yeah, right. Good afternoon. Thanks so much for having me. I'm going to present both Manastash and Lyra today. My name is Ali Nal. I'm an assistant professor in the English department. First, we'll start with Manastash. Manastash is our student-led literary journal housed in the English department. I am the coordinator and also the faculty advisor who teach courses that tie directly to Manastash. And we have a student intern, Sheila Richardson, who is a graduate student in the professional and creative writing department. So Manastash is actually the Central's longest running print journal in print since 1990. And we publish a themed issue every year in creative writing. And our purpose is to provide an outlet, creative outlet for every creative writing, every Central student, not just English department, in poetry, prose, art, and hybrid work. This is student-led, which means that students in both English 484 and 485 get together and decide which pieces are going to be published and what kind of design that they're going to do. They manage the layout, they get together and design the journal from scratch every year. I work and function as an advisor, so all the decisions are being made by students, and the works that are being published in Manastash are all works being done by Central students. At the end of each year at Source, we organize a launch and reading party where our journal is being distributed free for everyone, including the Contributor Central community. And also we have a reading party where contributors, writers, poets who have their pieces published in that specific journal come together and read. Source Pit is our most like traditional piece, traditional place. So we also have started this year to hire a student intern under the English 490. Sheila Richardson is now managing editor of Manastash, who works with me very closely, and also with the students for each English 484 and 485 to coordinate the efforts in creating a journal. And last year, we also have initiated a new, started a new initiative called College in the High School. We visited the high school in Cleveland to organize our inaugural writing contest, the winners of which we published in last year's journal, high school students as part of our recruitment efforts. And this year we are expanding that contest into 10 schools around the area in Cleveland, Yakima, and Tri-Cities, hoping that more high school students will publish their works and then join us at the Source. So this is our first journal issue from 1990. Those were the days we used to publish 2 issues, but now we only publish 1. This is our final current journal issue, the theme of which was humanity versus machine. So this is a picture, a few screenshots from our latest launch and reading party at Source, where also we hosted high school students that we published their pieces of. And we also partner with several institutions at Central and also outside Central, Brooks Library, Wildcat Shop, Office of University Student Research, CERT, and also Publicity Office. We also use an outside printing shop in Yakima to print our journals, and Bluehost and WordPress is our hosting partners for our website. So in terms of the numbers and outreach, we try to keep track of our print runs and also how many students, how many contributors we we mail the journal to, because we have a very strong online presence in terms of students. In 2023, we printed 400 themes, but we started decreasing it to 200 by half because of the budget cuts and because of S&A's guidelines. And we also started printing digital rather than in analog. That also saved us some money. And this year, we're also hoping to print 400 copies because we realized that 200 is not enough. We ran out of issues, which is always a good reason to increase. In terms of curriculum, in terms of student outreach, English 484 and 485, as the faculty advisor, we have increased the class cap from 20 to 25, and these courses are always full at every quarter, and we have a wait list because students enjoy being part of Manastash, creating the journal, being part of this creative journey, but also having something concrete in your hands at the end of each year. So this is our base funding request. It's more or less similar, but we are requesting, I think, 10 or 15% less than the original first quadrennial request. I think it was around $5,200. And our main bulk of the cost goes to our printing journal, printing our journal copies, which is 9% of the whole S&A funding. And the remaining part is spent on the longevity part. Thank you so much. If you have any questions about Manastash, I'm more than happy to answer.
Is submitting to the journal a requirement for the courses?
No.
Okay. And then how do you decide what gets published?
I don't decide, students decide. Our journal submissions are accepted blindly, which means nobody knows who submits. So even if you're a student, you can still submit your piece to a journal, to our journal, because nobody knows your name, and it is kind of protected that way. And students get together, get together in editorial meetings, and they choose which genre they would like to read first, and then they decide and debate which pieces they would like to publish, and then they get to know their name. Sometimes you can be a student of English 484 and you can be also a submitter, so it's also a little bit sort of fun that way.
It looks like over the last cycle, you spent only about 10% of your allocation out of this budget. Your total allocation is about $4,500 a year, but you've only been spending between $500 or $800 a year on your expenses. And so I was wondering if you could speak to that at all.
We are having extra. We are having surplus. Is that?
Yeah. So we.
Yes.
You're like last year in FY24, you only spent $235
Yes.
in this budget.
So we preemptively changed our way of printing the journal from analog to digital because of S&A guidelines, and we hope to roll over that amount to the next cycle. And we're hoping to use that to sort of tie in with the next first cycle. Can we do? We can. Okay. We were hoping.
We've already swept it back. But do you plan on using your full allocation should you get whatever you get?
Yes, of course. Yes. We probably cut down on the number of digital copies a little bit too aggressively. That's why we want to sort of increase to from 200 and 400, and we will be using this for this year. We already want to sort of increase that amount.
Classes, is it a class?
Yes, yeah. Mhm.
It's not it's not.
No, this is not a club. This is actually a student journal, but the creative effort, the creative labor that goes into producing the journal come from the student credit hours. So the students,
Class.
yeah, two classes, two sort of a sequence of.
So it's not a survey.
It is, we're serving the students, we are serving the central.
Could you describe of the, all of the things you put up there, which parts are paid for by tuition for the students and which parts are covered by the S&A portion?
All of them come from S&A. So our whole budget relies on S&A funding.
I see there was an increase in educational impact from.
Travel. So we don't have a travel budget for next year. Should it be line item?
Are you looking at round line?
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, yes, sorry.
I do not. Someone there. So you actually had full printing instead of analog printing. But it looks like the request is the same. But wouldn't it be cheaper to do digital?
It was cheaper, but the printing costs have almost doubled or tripled since 4 years ago. So if it stayed analog, it would have been almost 2 times the normal amount. So once we lowered the quality to digital, the cost almost remained the same. So we wanted to keep it within our budgets, and the only way to do it was to move from analog to digital.
I don't know, so any student can come and join this journal, or you have to be part of it?
So if you're a central student, you can submit your work freely. But if you would like to work creating the journal, you have to be an English student, or you have to be taking the course, both courses, English 484 and 485.
So it's not for us.
The whole journal is for all students, but the creation and the manufacturing and editing of the journal are done by those students who take the course.
But anyone can submit.
But it's free to anyone, and the journal is also free to anyone, so we distribute it across.
And that education.
Any other questions?
Holly, would you go back to the slide where you showed that your budget, right, this one? So just to make sure, as Eli asked, I think that's what this where Oscar's going to, just to make sure that the funding that you're requesting, 4,200 of it is already set to go to printing
Yeah.
costs.
Yes.
Actually, physical printing of a journal.
Yeah.
And then the remaining is for your hosting of your web service.
Yes, exactly. And that printing also covers the mailing costs as well. So we also mail, because there's a lot of online students, we send them out.
And that goes to all students within the English and creative writing major.
Yeah, all any contributors. Since you need to be a central student, or you're a central student, then you can publish, which means we can also mail your copy to any central students. It doesn't have to be English.
And I think I'm just not understanding. So if that's the cost for printing and reading and writing expenses. Why?
This year or this year? The past. As I said, we lowered the printing to anticipate the cost, and we realized it was actually a little bit too low, and that's why we're sort of reacting to it by increasing the number again. we always wanted to stay in the budget because we were kind of afraid that, oh my God, we're going to sort of spend a little bit and stay in the black. We wanted to sort of prevent that.
Thank you.
Yeah, no. That's right. I am the chair of the club. This was my next cardigan.
Oh. I was being on board.
Hello again. I am the coordinator of Lion Rock Visiting Writers Series. This is again housed in the English department. Our purpose is to bring modern literature written currently in the United States by hosting poets, writers, graphic authors, and industry professionals in workshops, craft talks, or readings so that our students can interact with the authors and also benefit from their experiences in their own classes, but also beyond graduation. Catherine Whitcomb and Joshua Welsh are our committee members, and we also have a student intern, Johanna Diletti. She's an online student, and she helps us run the show, as it were. So So what we do is we host authors and poets and to give craft talks and public readings to our students. And we organize those events in hybrid form, which means they are both in person. Every central student can join and can attend physically at the student library, central group's library, but we also broadcast it on Zoom and online students can also join in. We also try to create workshops and publishing panels to bring industry professionals to talk about the professional side of creative writing, how they can publish their pieces, how they can look for agents, and other opportunities of both creative and professional writing. We also introduced virtual classroom visits a couple of years ago. We invite authors, researchers, and professionals to come to the classes to talk about specific books or specific articles that their professors may have assigned so that they can have conversation and Q&A. We have a very strong student internship program at Lion Rock. We try to have both in-person and online intern for each year who help us run the show and also create opportunities for them to increase their professional efforts and professionalization. We also have a student reading series at the end of each quarter. It's almost like a culmination of the creative writing efforts that our students get together. And those student series are organized specifically and exclusively by our student internship, which also gives them a chance to both interact, also gain experience in public outreach and also how to organize a public event. So these are just a selection of speakers and authors that we have invited and hosted on central grounds. Terry Tempest Williams, Anthony Dorr, Natalia Diaz, Tim O'Brien, and Ross Gay came over a couple of months ago. Luther Hughes, Callum Angus, Royce Scranton, and Jane Wong attended last year. We're also having a very diverse group of poets and writers. Marcelo Castillo just attended a public reading and craft talk. He's the first undocumented immigrant who was accepted to a career writing program, and we invited him. He's both an activist and poet to talk about his work, but also his activism around undocumented immigrants. Jessie Lee Kirchable, she's a graphic books writer, who will be joining us virtually. Elena Ellis is an editor out of Seattle. She will give a workshop on editorial efforts and agenting and how to publish and name. And we're also partnering with Humanities Washington to bring Tara Campbell, who is a science fiction author, to give a workshop on science fiction as creative fiction. And we try to also diversify our genres, our writers and their profession, and their genres, so that to give our students a wide berth of literary production. Library is our mecca, as it were. We always enjoy being a partner with partnering with the Central Brooks Library. This is a few examples from our events. This is our previous intern, Sage Johnson. Our interns play the MC and also help me run the show and invite authors, interact with them, just generally create and constructive and help their run. And as I said, we always have a Zoom component where our online students or online community can join in. So in terms of the outreach, in 2002, we were still feeling the impact of COVID. So all of our events were virtual, but we didn't keep track of our audience. From 2003 onwards, we have had a very strong track record of keeping track of our audience. 831 contains both in-person and online attendees. This contains both students, staff, and central community, but also larger Ellensburg community. But we also have a very good grasp of the demographics of our participants, since we received those registration forms, online forms from the multimodal. So 90% of our online attendees are central students, and 85% of our in-person attendees are central students. In 2024, we have increased the attendance, and we're also projecting increased attendance for this year, because we're working very hard on making those events accessible to everyone else, both in person and also online. But also, we're also trying to increase the profile of authors that we're inviting, so that the students and central community could be interested in joining. Again, we always have a tie to our curriculum, English 468 and 568 taught in spring. The texts and the writers that are being taught in those classes are the same authors that we invite for spring. So we create an organic connection and tie between those curriculums. So students who take these classes, read the works of those authors, and when they visit the campus, they create a connection and they create an interaction. And sometimes it can be as an assignment, sometimes it could be in the form of Q&A and just listening to their experience. English 490 is our student internship registration. As I said, we try to always have both in-person and online intern to organize both modalities. This year, we only had one online student intern, Johanna Galete. She's been incredibly influential, helping us organize these events. So these are just a selection of partners that we have worked with. We have worked with on Central and also in Ellensburg. Brooks Library, we partnered with the President's Office to bring in Taylor Brorby last year, and we also worked with Latino and Latin American Studies to bring in Marcelo Castillo Hernandez, and we are working with Humanities Washington this year to bring in Tara Campbell. This also helps us lower the cost of those authors and speaker fees. So I'd like to preemptively address the elephant in the room, because we are asking almost 400% more funding compared to our previous 4 year. And I'd like to give you the reason for that. 4 years ago, we anticipated a yearly budget of $12 $9,000. But we also projected to receive funding from several different institutions, fundraising, partnership, annual donors. To put it mildly, we were wrong. We were catastrophically wrong, and none of it unfortunately came to pass. That's why we projecting that we would receive at least $9,000 per year. We only requested $3,000 per year 4 years ago. Unfortunately, we had to come to you to ask for supplemental request last year because we were running out of money and we wanted to stay afloat. So this year, if you actually compare the cost of events, you will see that we have decreased, or we have followed the guidelines of S&A, and from $12,000 to $9,000, $10,000. So we have actually decreased. But since we have no other source of income or source of funding, we now totally rely on S&A, and that's the reason. That's the difference why we haven't increased our funding request. And our budget items are very simple. We don't have wages. I do this work through my service workload. Student internship gets student credit hours, so we don't pay anyone, any personnel. It's our money goes to speaker fees, the promotion which we do in partnership with the Health City Center, and also accommodation. We host our writers for 2 days, and we take them out to dinner, to which we also invite our students and graduate students. Thank you so much.
I did have a question. So you increased your request from 3,000 to 10,000, but it still looks like you're expecting to take a deficit over the next 4 years.
Good question. We have received a funding from college and high school through COP. But I was told by my chair, it's a $3,000. So we are hoping to use that money to cover any kind of compensation. Because even though the interim dean promised to fund our efforts every year, this is an interim dean, so we don't know what will happen with the managerial or directorship, so we can't rely on that. But there is going to be a $3,000 that we can use throughout 4 years if there's a deficit.
I do have annual report from 2024. Does state that those interns, including department students themselves, work on the organization and coordination of every Lions Rock reading of this and the so you consider students in this class, it's an academic requirement for them to plan the Lions Rock.
So that's not a class, that's actually one student, so it's a colloquium, internship colloquium. If they decide to hire a student, they need to register for that course. So it's only one student, one intern. And all objectives are defined and described between Lion Rock and the students. And it goes through, I think, career services, if I'm not mistaken. They approve of what kind of hours and what kind of students are, what kind of responsibilities that the intern will have, and it goes into the objectives. So there's just only one student. Yeah. Yeah.
We're not paying them out of S&A.
No, but we are considering to paying them out of college and high school budget because their labor is incredibly important. We sort of wanted to make our case before you 5 months ago, but it wasn't approved. So we are still thinking of paying our interns out of that budget.
Do you want to ask?
No, you're good.
It's the same with the museum. That those travel fees are included in the speaker fee. We don't have actually a separate travel fee. We pay our riders a lump sum of 2,000, 1,500 or 2,000. in which the travel funds are also included. So the educational purpose of this, of them coming here, interacting with our students, engaging with their materials, and then creating an interaction, creating a professional, like creative.
Any other questions? Ready, thank you so much. Thank you for that presentation. Moving forward, with our agenda, we have second call for public comment. Is there any comment?
I just want to publicly thank you all for all of this work you've done around. And
Respond to Roger's email so you can have something to eat next weekend.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good day.
Motion to adjourn today's meeting.
Is there a second?
Still have 15 minutes.
See that this is. All those in favor of any, please say aye. The ayes have it, the meeting is adjourned at 4:06 p.m.
do you all want to take your books with you? So you have them, or do you want me to take them? Whatever is best for you. But-
Wow.
Yeah,